Sadie, a 6-year-old female German Shepherd, was a rescued dog at the Ramapo-Bergen Animal Refuge Animal Shelter. Sadie's previous owner may have other plans which did not include the poor dog. Caretakers at the animal shelter would often say that rescue dogs like Sadie are likely to feel lost and would wander aimlessly at the shelter with other orphan dogs. That is, until the shelter could find a new owner for them. One day, the caretakers at the Ramapo-Bergen Animal Refuge introduced Sadie to a tall, middle-aged man with kind, laughing eyes. His name is Brian Myers. Brian Myers had just turned 59, semi-retired, and lives in New Jersey. He had heard about Ramapo-Bergen Animal Refuge, decided to look around with the intention to rescue one to become his pet and companion. He had this feeling that he needed a dog companion at this time of his life. Brian could have his pick of different orphan dogs being cared for and housed in shelters. There were huskies, retrievers, little puppy furballs, boxers, all kinds, sizes, colors, and breeds of the canine family. Brian's eyes fell on a black and dark brown with white streaks burly dog. He was told her name is Sadie, a female German Shepherd. From that instant, Brian knew Sadie was the dog companion he was looking for. Sadie's soulful eyes met Brian's thoughtful gaze. The fate of the orphan dog and the new master was sealed. Sadie was taken for a long drive until they reached a house with a sprawling neighborhood. Sadie knew this was home. Days and months passed uneventfully. Sadie is now a full-grown 6-year-old German Shepherd with the characteristics of the breed. Sadie loves to romp and follow Brian around the house. Most days, Brian would bring Sadie up for walks around the neighborhood. But for the most part of the day, the two would just sit on the couch and romp in the living room. Sadie loves to hang around her master's bedroom. Brian and Sadie loved watching the news and the football games on TV together. There were times Sadie's ears would tweak up when Brian's phone rang. Brian would usually use his smartphone with Sadie by his side. One day in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, on January 16, 2021, Brian was in his bedroom lazing around when suddenly he felt dizzy. Deep chest pains gripped him. His breathing became labored. He felt massive muscle weakness in his legs and arms. Brian knew he had suffered a stroke as he slumped on a corner of his bedroom, unable to move. There was no one in the house except him and Sadie. As Brian lay like a lumped rag on the floor, Sadie sensed something was wrong with her master. She sidled close, licking Brian's face, asking with her eyes what she could do to help, not leaving his side one bit. Brian looked deep in Sadie's eyes. He knew he had to call 911. He told Sadie to bring him to the phone, but the phone was on the other side of the room. How could Sadie bring him up to reach the phone? Instinctively, as if through an inner voice, Sadie did the unexpected. She pushed her body weight to meet Brian's weight as her master gripped on her dog collar. Sadie knew she had to help her master get up and bring him across the room to reach the phone. A thought flashed into Brian's mind. Why not use Sadie as a counterpoint to get myself up off the floor? Brian grabbed her collar to try to do so, and to the surprise of Brian, Sadie somehow instinctively knew to help him by pulling her body weight. Sadie pulled him up enough to give him strength so he could get up from the corner where he collapsed. The loyal dog dragged her master across the room to where the phone was. With much difficulty, Brian reached for the phone and called for help. Because of Sadie's uncanny instinct, Brian got the medical attention needed to avert brain damage resulting from a stroke. Brian was immediately rushed to Inglewood Health, where he stayed for 2 weeks to regain his strength and undergo rehabilitation therapy. Sadie's instinctive and intelligent rescue of her master went viral. Sadie, the rescue dog, became the rescuer, was the talk of the town. Sadie became a sensation and was featured in national TV and cable news channels. The 2 weeks Brian had to stay at the hospital did not stop the master and his loyal dog from bonding with each other. Brian's family organized FaceTime for Brian and his loyal dog to talk and see each other virtually the whole time Brian was confined at Inglewood Health. When Brian was released from the hospital, his loyal dog was there to greet him. Still in recovery and doing therapy to regain strength and motion in his legs, Brian basked in the company of his 6-year-old German Shepherd. Sadie would accompany her master Brian in his wheelchair throughout the long, arduous task of therapy until Brian's full recovery. Everything that happens in our life has a definite purpose in someone's existence, somewhere, somehow. Only thing is, we may not know why and how it's going to play out. Sadie never in her wildest dreams would ever think she would be dumped and would come across Brian. They became good companions. Sadie even saved her master from an emergency situation. The fate of these two beings seems inseparable. Is there an unseen force controlling these life events? What do you think? Please leave your comments and let us know.